Aloha, welcome to Keys to Success, which is live on ThinkTech live streaming network series, weekly on Thursdays at 11 a.m. My name is Danelia, D-A-N-E-L-I-A.
And I'm the other half of the duo, John Newman. Welcome.
Mahalo for joining us today. You can catch us live on livestream.com on the internet at the thinktechhawaii.com website. We encourage you to call us at 415-871-2474, which is our hotline, to join in on the conversation, or to tweet us at ThinkTechHI for any comments or questions. Our show, Keys to Success, the goal of our show is to provide our audience, viewers, listeners, regarding the profound insights of success with our guests, which our guests that we have on the show have had success in their life, their career and or business. And even last week we had Senator Willis Spiro. And Senator Willis Spiro was really great. He shared his keys to success. And the top three were, and I wanted to share them with you as the beginning to the show. The top three were: determine your goals, know your options, and overcome the obstacles. Give it 110%. The second goal was key to success is have the right mindset. Remember that attitude determines altitude. And the third item was surround yourself with people who support you. That's very important because you need positive people in your life to help you to achieve your goals. You can find more resources and an outline of Senator Spiro's tips on Newman Consulting Services landing page, Danelia, DANELIA.org. Our theme for today is the will to persevere may determine success or failure.
Joining us today in the studio is our honored guest, who is one of the top neurosurgeons here in Hawaii, Dr. Bernard Robinson. Dr. Robinson was one of the first Afro-American students to matriculate at the University of South Florida. He attended Howard University College of Medicine, where he entered the United States Air Force. United States Army. I'm going to get you in the right branch before we get through with this, Dr. Robinson. Okay. I don't want you shooting me at the end of this. Okay. Dr. Robinson did his internship at Walter Reed Army facility at Washington, D.C., where he became the first Afro-American to be accepted into the military neurosurgery program, thus becoming the first Afro-American neurosurgeon in the United States Army. During his tenure at Triple Army Medical Center here in Hawaii, he was appointed Chief of Neurosurgery. Dr. Robinson retired from the Army Reserve at the rank of Colonel. Is that correct, sir?
Correct.
Okay. Dr. Robinson spent 19 years on the staff of Kaiser Permanente here in Hawaii, where he served as Chief of Neuroscience and Chief Neurosurgeon. He was also instrumental in the advancement of neuroscience here in Hawaii. Dr. Robinson is presently serving as President-elect of the Hawaii Medical Association. He's the proud father of three and loving husband to his wife Shirley for 47 years. Due to airing restraints, we can only share a select few of the wonderful accomplishments of Dr. Robinson. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Robinson. Mahalo for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you for
welcome to
having me
the
on
show. Yeah, we're thrilled to have you.
Dr. Robinson, I'd like you to share with our audience, if you can, how were you able to stay the course while being confronted with the plethora of obstacles along the way to becoming a neurosurgeon? And what were some of those obstacles?
Well, the easy answer is I had no other choice. But like the objectives of your previous guest on your other show, you have to have an idea of what you want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. And you have to stick to it. And you have to plan. Now, the interesting thing is that it's obvious I'm about 70 years old, born in the South of the United States of America. So we had obstacles, built-in obstacles. But you had to somehow dig within yourself and not let the obstacles stop you from dreaming or stop you from pursuing those dreams.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as other obstacles that you had, could you kind of name some of the obstacles that you experienced as you went through your course of your life?
And be a little more specific. If you
Well,
would.
being born to a poor family, that's an obstacle.
Yes.
And we mentioned the racial thing down south of the Mason-Dixon, not just unique to the south of the Mason-Dixon. You just didn't have the role models to say that I can do something other than clean the yards, work at the hotel as a maintenance person, clean the bank. That's pretty much how it was. You really had to look far beyond your local environment to figure out what you should be dreaming about.
Yeah.
So obstacles were your juxtaposition to success, or the picture of success. Success in my neighborhood was staying out of jail, managing to get through school without getting killed, and to dream of having enough money to raise family, have homes and stuff was a stretch in those days. Obviously now it's different,
Oh, yes.
but still some of the same kind of obstacles prevail. And now the obstacles are more generic to everybody, because America is trying to still grow up.
So true.
During that era, quite a few African Americans, they went into the line of teaching, schooling. Education was the key. But what took you into neurosurgery, if I may ask?
Well, I might add that I did start teaching. I taught school for 1 year.
There we go.
And that's a tough job.
Yeah, really.
My hat goes off to teachers.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had the opportunity of teaching 1 year in the school that I graduated from. But being a teacher, I even then knew I wanted to go to med school. But to answer your question, I wanted to be an internist, because that's the only role model in my neighborhood was the family doctor. Didn't have family doctors back then. They just called them general practitioners. They came to houses and saw people. And so I wanted to really be a trumpet player. But second was a pilot, your Air Force. And I became a physician because, I said earlier, the role model of a doctor who had a nice home, nice car, but he worked real hard. So I had to take my third choice. And once I got to med school, I saw these surgeons, and it was clear that I wanted to be one of those.
That's
All
great.
right. Okay.
That's really
So what I
great.
hear you saying is that it's imperative to have a role model.
It's a good thing to have. I
Yes.
think it's essential.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So then when you did go into college and moved on, how was it as far as in the Army doing the kind of work that you were doing? And what kind of challenges did you experience?
Well,
there?
the Army for me ended up being a bit of an accident. I actually had no intentions of being a soldier, but it just happens that my medical school, Howard University, is on this exact same street as Walter Reed Army Medical Center. So, make a long story short, somehow, some way, I ended up visiting Walter Reed. And next thing you know, I'm a soldier.
Yeah.
But back to the barriers, income. I had a wife and a child in medical school, and residency didn't pay much. Internships didn't pay much. But it just turns out at that time the military internships and residencies paid substantially more
Oh.
than the desired residencies or training programs at Harvard or Yale or any of those types of schools. And so it was an easy choice for this not wealthy father, husband, etc. And when I got to Walter Reed, I was absolutely amazed at what existed for its quality in healthcare, education, and actual caring for people within the military ranks. I have no regrets.
Okay. And being the first Afro-American accepted into the military's program of neurosurgery, I'm sure there were challenges there too, but you stayed the course, and you were there for a reason. And the races and prejudices, that's academic, I think.
Well, absolutely. And I might say something. America is growing up.
Yes.
And as I look back on things, my experience before and during the military experience, I can say that I had some great benefactors that were Caucasian. Were it not for them, I would not be a neurosurgeon or even maybe have finished college at all. And I've had some nemesis that were not Caucasian. They were Afro. So we have to be very careful about how we rigidly look down the playing field and decide who's the enemy. Sometimes you find that the enemy is yourself. So for me, I've always kind of tried to follow my father's lead as looking at people as people. They got brains, they got hearts and minds, and how I interact with them as I saw him interact. Sort of set a roadmap for me. So my real role model was my dad.
Okay, so why don't we just take a short break? We'll come back to that. This is Keys to Success in the Think Tech live streaming network series. We're talking with Dr. Bernard Robinson about the will to persevere, which may determine whether success or failure. This is Danelia, Danelia.
And I'm John, the other half of the duo. We'll be back in a minute, so please stay tuned to Keys to Success.
Hello, I'm Crystal from Quack Talk. I've got a new show here. You've got to tune in. Check out my topics on sensitive, provocative female issues. So Tuesday mornings, 10 o'clock. Don't miss it. It's going to be fun and dangerous.
I'm Jay Fidel, and I'm the host of Research in Manoa, Mondays from 12 to 1 on thinktechhawaii.com. Take a look at us and learn about geophysics, learn about planetology, learn about the ocean and earth sciences at UH Manoa. You'll really enjoy it. So come around, we'll see you then.
Aloha, namaskar, and hello. I am Anu Hittel, and I host a show on climate change. It's called Climate Change Beyond Outrage. And in it, we go beyond outrage to look at solutions to global climate problems facing people, nations, and the world. Join me every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Hawaii Standard Time. Aloha, namaskar, and goodbye.
Aloha! Hello, my name is Patrick Bratton. I'm host at Global Connections here at Think Tech Hawaii. We broadcast live every Thursday at 1 p.m. We bring Hawaii to the world and the world to Hawaii, talking about international events and various things of interest to the audience. Please join me. I look forward to talking with you and having you get to meet some of my guests. Aloha.
Aloha and welcome to Think Tech Hawaii. I am Ina Chang. I am the guest host. Aloha and welcome to Think Tech Hawaii. I am Ina Chang. I am the guest host for Small Business Hawaii with Reg Baker. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. and watch us. Aloha.
Aloha! Welcome back to Keys to Success on Think Tech Hawaii live streaming network series. We encourage you to call our hotline, which is 415-871-2474, to partake in our conversation, which is really a wonderful, wonderful conversation with Dr. Bernard Robinson, who is one of the top neurosurgeons in the state of Hawaii. We would also encourage you to Twitter at ThinkTechHI, any comments or any questions that you might have. I'm Danelia, Danelia.
And I'm the other half of the duo, John Newman, and welcome back.
So, Dr. Robinson, you know, in accordance with our theme, which is the will to persevere, may determine your failure or success, you've persevered through your life. I mean, as you were talking, I think about Johnson, my relationship. You know, we've been married for 34 years, and you know, just being a mixed couple, all the challenges that we experienced, you know, through our marriage. But you know, when you are committed and you know, you work together, you know, we set goals from when we first got married. We set goals and we were determined, and we just decided that no matter what, we were going to achieve the goals that we wanted to achieve, and we really worked hard to do it, and we did. And you did exactly the same thing.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Robinson, what do you discern to be the most important areas that a person should focus on while striving to build their career?
Well, the main thing is you must try to identify your passion, and then make sure that that passion can earn you a living. If not, your passion should be your hobby.
That's a very, very good point.
And
Very good
where
point.
do you feel perseverance fits into that plan?
Following on to what I just said, if you really enjoy doing something, it makes you want to get up in the morning, and you are fortunate enough to figure out how to make it worth doing for the reasons we just mentioned, you sort of have to stay on that path and don't let anything knock you off of it. You can detour, but you got to come back, unless you discern at the time of your reassessment that the world has decided this is not valuable. And then you need to retool and look for something that is valuable to the world. The other thing I would say, you can be the most successful entity on the planet, but if you don't have the joy and fulfillment of helping others as part of your passion, you're kind of doomed to depression and failure in your own eyes. Everyone else may say you're a success, but you may be seen very publicly by the psychiatrist because you just don't feel good about what you've accomplished. So success is an interesting term. Success by your perspective, success by others' perspective. Others can think you're the greatest success that hit the planet. You may be feeling, and achievers are very much prone to this, achievers often feel like I haven't done enough. And I think if a lot of what you do is to help others, you don't have that risk. Being a physician makes that easy because you spend your life trying to help others.
Right, exactly.
And one of the motivational speakers that Danelia and I look up to was Zig Ziglar. And he always said, the more people you help get what they want, you will always have what you want.
I agree.
I'm hearing you say that giving back is one of the keys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting through life because when you're young, you really don't think that much about giving back. You're just thinking about, oh, let me just go for it. I want money, 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 money. And then when you reach a certain period in life, like middle age, you're thinking, well, wait a minute, where did the last 40 years go? And, you know, now I need to think about, okay, I've achieved in that capacity, but, you know, am I happy? You know, and happiness varies according to different people. And that then becomes, as you grow older still, that's when you go into that phase where you think, you know what, I really need to give back.
The key thing you just said is the earlier in life you can figure that out, the better off you are.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes it's very hard to make it up.
That's right.
It's very hard to learn how to do that.
Yes.
So the philanthropy is a good thing and want people to help others that are in need and do that. But at the same token, as you're trying to become something that's valuable to yourself and to the world, try to learn to help others along as you make it. Because I think that's really a major key to success.
Absolutely. And you know, it could be helping others just by opening the door for somebody who's carrying some baggage or something. I mean, it's not just giving your time, it's just the little things in life. And you'd be amazed how a smile from the other person and a thank you can just lighten up your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was one of the things we found in our classes that we teach, you know. The critiques were, we just felt so good for someone to smile at us and and talk to us and without being judgmental. You know, that's one of the key things, as well as just giving back.
You know, I was, when we were talking back to the subject of perseverance, it's interesting because when you look at children understand perseverance. I mean, you know, sometimes we think, what happened to us as we grew older, right? Because we give up so easily. We let obstacles stop us. I remember back when our son was like, I think it was about 3 or something, and his room was in the back of the house, and he wanted something on top of the cabinet, and I said no, you know, which probably I shouldn't have, but, you know, I said no. And so I walked out to the kitchen. I didn't see him for a while, and I went back, and he had gone to all the bedrooms, pulled all the pillows, piled them high, and started climbing to get to the top of that cabinet. You know, children just understand that you don't give up. That's why they just keep asking you for the same thing again and again and again, and inevitably you end up giving it to them. But these obstacles that happen in life, once that awareness starts coming in about life, you know, because we were all children at one point, believe it or not.
It's amazing.
We persevered.
Oh, yes.
We persevered.
Yes.
But then, you know, as we grow older and we have all these obstacles that, you know, we come in front of us, and we somehow get disheartened. We don't look for other ways. Our attitude gets affected, and so a lot of people end up just giving up.
Absolutely.
And also, sometimes opportunities are mistaken for challenges. You have to be able to look at things differently because they're there for a reason, to help you as well as hinder you. And some of the hindrance are really opportunities. So I think a part of it is to be open to new things.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Probably some of the things that impacted my life for success, the greatest, have been the challenges. I may have told you a little story about a physics professor who I just thought had to be one of the worst people in the world. And I mistakenly thought he was racist. In fact, I think possibly he was. He sounded a very thick Southern accent, but he was the chairman of the physics department. And I had difficulty with physics, and I went back to him, book on the arm. He said, "Sir, I don't make these. How am I going to be making better grades in your class?" He said, "Boy, that book on your arm, learn everything in it." I was so annoyed. I went and learned everything in it. So I got a B out of my physics course, and I saved that course, that quarter, for the last class as I was graduating. And then he knew I was graduating. He was a class of 200 plus students, and I'm walking out. I, knew I'd passed the class, and I hear that voice, "Mr. Robinson, Mr. Robinson." I said, "What does this old guy want?" And so that conversation led to my getting into medical school.
Wow.
And I thought that this was my nemesis, but it turned out to be my salvation to move on to do the kind of stuff that I'm doing now.
And isn't that interesting? Because you could have just continued to walk out of that room and not gone back.
Yeah.
And you could have had a different course in life. So another thing is always be open to all opportunities.
Sure.
Right? You know?
So I had a little of the child left in me.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
my pillows was a physics book.
But you never forgot the reason you were there,
Right.
and that was to
Absolutely.
learn.
Yeah.
Right.
In fact, at that time, I was, as you said, I was the fourth, at least in the first 10 people to go to the state school that was Afro-American. And so I would have much rather gone play my trumpet at FAMU and marching 100. But I was one of the students that they thought could integrate successfully, so for the cause.
Okay.
So it was for a good cause.
Oh, yes.
All around.
I feel your sentiments because I was one of the first people to integrate the schools in my town, my little southern town as well. And I was really upset with my mom and dad when they made me. I'll say made me. I had no choice to go. All of my brothers and sisters and my uncles and aunts graduated from Carver High, and they made sure I went to Seacrest.
Well, you have stuff in common with your friend, my wife Shirley. She went willingly.
Yeah.
As the first dozen or so Afro-American kids go from high school, from our all-black school, from 7th through 12th grades to high school, just 9th through 12th grade. My side of the track never knew that that kind of school existed.
I hear you. I hear you.
So, but she willingly did it, and fortunately worked out.
But I found out when I got there, like yourself, I saw how far behind we were at our predominantly black school.
You knew it
and the
already,
books. Well, I knew it, but it was an eye opener when you went. I was making A's and B's, and when I went there, I was making C's and D's. And I'm saying, like that, learn what's in that book under your arm, son. So I did a lot of studying because I had to make sure that
and that was
I was the best that I could be. And I ended up being an AB student, but I realized what we were missing.
Sure.
And you know, we have such a high dropout rate now in our schools, and you know, if we can just put across this message that education is so important. Now, you can be successful without having a college degree. There's no doubt about that. Your attitude determines your altitude. However, education really helps you to view the world differently and to have what it takes to move forward as well, persevere. I'll never forget, my mother always said to me, because we didn't, in our family, we didn't, you know, my parents went through the war and everything, Second World War, and there was nobody in the family that was had gone to college. And my mother just kept saying to me, she never made me go. My parents didn't make me go to college, but my mother used to say, go to college so that you never have to depend on a man.
I don't know about that.
Smart man.
Smart. But the thing is, I didn't hear that. But her mother did tell me, she says, I know you married my daughter, but she'll always have a plane ticket to come home.
That must be a common thing for parents.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, so you've been there too.
I had
huh?
the same kind of thing happen with my mother-in-law. She said, if you don't want her, don't abuse her, just bring her back.
Just bring it back.
So I
That's
threaten
right.
my wife every now and
Yeah.
then that I'll bring her
47 years?
Yeah, that's
My hat's
right.
off to you.
back. Yeah.
So, you know, this is a quote that always stuck out in my mind. It's an author unknown, but the quote is, when the world says give up, hope whispers, try it one more time. And there are so many times during our lives that we want to give up, and sometimes individuals decide to give up, and their course of life takes a different turn. If you can just be strong enough and persevere, take a deep breath, tomorrow's going to be a better day, it always is, and just keep focused on what your goal is. Sometimes we set a lot of goals and we get overwhelmed. If you just set one goal this week, what's the one goal that you're going to achieve this week? And persevere, keep that at the front of your mind when you wake up in the morning, work towards it during the day, and you'll reach it by the end of the week. Make sure it's a realistic goal, but perseverance is absolutely the key. Another author unknown said, there's only one thing that can guarantee our failure, and that's if we quit.
I agree.
Yeah. So could you tell, well, actually, we were just going to ask another question, but we're going to commercial. We're going to take a short break. This is Keys to Success and on the Think Tech live streaming network series. We're talking currently with Dr. Bernard Robinson, which is one of the top neurosurgeons in the state of Hawaii. And our theme for today is persevere. The will to persevere might determine the difference between success and failure. See you in a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Chris Leatham here with Think Tech Hawaii, and I invite you to watch my show, The Economy and You, each Wednesday at 3 o'clock here in Hawaii on OC 16. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Kaui Lucas, host of Hawaii is My Mainland, here on Think Tech Hawaii every Friday at 3 p.m. We address issues of importance for those of us who live here on the most isolated landmass on the planet. Please come join me Fridays at 3 p.m. Mahalo.
Hi, I'm Kili'i Akina, president of the Grassroot Institute. I'd love you to join us every week, Mondays at 2 o'clock p.m. for E Hanakako. Let's work together. We report every week on the good things going on in our state, as well as the better things that can go on in the future. We have guests covering everything from the economy, the government, and society. See you Mondays on E Hanakako at 2 o'clock p.m. Until then, I'm Kili'i Akina. Aloha.
Welcome back. This is Keys to Success on Think Tech Live Streaming Network Series. We encourage you to call our hotline, which is 415-871-2474. Let me repeat that. 415-871-2474 to participate in the conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Or tweet us at ThinkTechHI with your questions and comments. Again, this is Keys to Success. My name is Danelia, Danelia.
And I'm the other half of the duo, John Newman. Welcome back. And we're still here with Dr. Bernard Robinson. Dr. Robinson, knowing what you know now, forgive me, what advice would you give our viewers on how to navigate the challenges of today and inspire them to keep the faith?
That's an interesting question, a good question. It has a simple answer for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started 70 years ago.
Yeah. Just a few years.
So things then were different than things are now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So implicit in that comment is the fact that you have to keep your eye on the game, the game of life, serious game. Because things, if anything is constant, it's change.
Yes.
It's going to always change. My dad did something when I was very young. He used to watch Walter Cronkite news religiously. Now, he wasn't an educated man of college or even high school, but he knew he needed to keep an eye on what's going on in the world. And to this day, that's what I'm doing in the mornings as I work out. I'm listening at Bloomberg, the news, and what's going on. Not a ton of it, but just to make sure. So what you have to do is be ready to adjust with what's going on. And the word perseverance is essential. And the way you do perseverance is to keep an eye on the game because the rules change. And if you're still playing by the old rules, you may not persevere. I hope that answers your question. If not, follow me up with another one.
Oh, I think you hit the proverbial nail on the head. If you're playing by the old rules, you're not in the game at all. You're doomed to fail. And that's really what I was asking you, you know. So you're saying that you need to be aware of the changes and adjust to those changes.
And stay up to date in whatever profession it is that you've chosen.
Okay.
Exactly. I mean, just for our generation, just the fact that we have the internet now, social media, I mean, that was something that we didn't know anything about when we were young, you know. Now you've got 2-year-olds who can text quicker than we can, you know, so it's just a whole different world now. And, you know, we've really, and I must say, our son did bring us kicking and screaming into
The 21st century.
doing this.
You better believe it.
21st century.
He's a computer engineer.
Yes,
and he said to us, well, I'm not going to call you. You're going to have to text and email me, you know. And we tried to bring him back to us, and we missed out about 6 months.
I think it was about 6 months he didn't communicate with us.
It won't happen.
That's right.
So now we're texting and emailing.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. We had to make the change, and you know, that's one of the things I think. As we grow older, sometimes we get stuck. We just get stuck, and we're stuck in the older days, in the earlier days, and we don't embrace new things coming in. And so even though we have fear, now understand it's interesting because no matter how old you are, you still have fear. There's no doubt about it. Hey, I have fear coming on this show in front of this camera, but you work through it. You just work through it and trust that it's going to be okay. And that's where perseverance comes in. Never, ever, 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 ever give up.
And I hope you work through your fear about coming in front of this camera because I'll get some sleep at night. I'd like to ask you an agree or disagree question and then ask you to explain it.
Okay.
And you're wondering what the heck is she coming up with now? Right, take a deep breath. There we go.
Go for
Okay, successful people get that way by being lucky. Agree or disagree, and why?
I agree to some extent, but it's not just luck. If it was just luck, everybody would be in Las Vegas and doing great. So I think luck's a part of it. but you also, perseverance, you have to make your own luck. And, you know, it's an easy word to say,
Yeah.
but just being lucky, my grandmother would say something that I can't say on air. You write a check with your mouth that the rest of you can't cash. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
so how many
That's a
people
good
hit
one.
the lottery and
Yeah.
a year later, 2 years later, they're bankrupt. They were back where they started and got more enemies than they had before.
Correct.
So it won't be just luck by itself.
Absolutely.
So preparation.
You got
See,
to be
we-
ready to deal with whatever good fortune lands in your lap. We can go back to your earlier question. If I could have done anything differently, it would be learn to manage the little bit of money I did have a lot better earlier. That way, maybe I would have been able to retire 10 years ago.
So true.
But you love what you do, Doc.
I do,
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
That's a part of
They're
it.
pushing me out of it, whether I want to or not, because I love it so much. And I do.
Right.
Okay.
But, you know, one of the things I'm glad you brought up the financial issue because, you know, there's so many youngsters that we meet today and we mentor and they say, well, you know, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So, you know, I'm just enjoying life as I go. But, you know, we keep telling people, you don't understand. You will live to an older age, and then what are you going to do? You've got to start young. John and I decided when we got married that we were going to make all the sacrifices early in life so we can live well when we're older. And thank goodness we did, you know.
That was very wise. And
Yes.
in fact, even to be successful, how many parties do you miss to get the A's and the B's
Yes.
instead of the D's and the C's?
Right.
But if you persevere and you
Yeah.
live long enough,
Yeah.
you end up being able to enjoy those things that you had to bypass, the fun things.
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
And you have the big fun now.
Oh, yes.
Right.
But if you had big fun then, you know, premature pregnancies,
Yes.
premature getting in jail because you had to
Yeah.
have it and you had to rob somebody, it's just makes more sense to plan
Yeah.
your life. And the education part of it, we went to school when I was a kid because you had to. That's what everybody did. And if you didn't, you're in trouble.
Right.
But you have to learn when you get your passion for what you want to do as your life's work, to make sure you get educated because you need that to move forward, not because someone says the law is you go, otherwise you get the truant officer on your tail.
Yeah. And when we talk about education, it's not only book learning. We talked about finances.
Absolutely.
You have to be taught how to use your finances. It doesn't matter how much you have in some instances, but you have to use what you have correctly, and that will help.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that we teach is how to use the finances that you have. And that's what people need to understand.
And even planning with your finances doesn't mean you don't have any fun.
Yes.
That's right.
It means you budget the
You
fun.
budget
Thank
the
you.
fun. That's exactly right. That's
So-
right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
At some point in your life, you'll be
Yeah.
able to have more fun in the budget.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm going to ask you another question. How do your expectations about yourself affect what you will accomplish?
Well, you exude, no question in my mind, confidence if you feel successful, if you feel confident that you can do something. If you're kind of timid and you kind of getting approval to do something, you aren't going to get much support because if you don't believe in you, who else is going to believe in you?
Exactly.
I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Self-esteem is extremely
important.
important. Self-esteem is extremely important. Do you have a
Well,
question? Go ahead.
Oprah said something along this line. She said, if you undervalue who you are, the world will undervalue what you do. So as you said, you have to have confidence in what you're doing and persevere and stay the course.
And believe in yourself.
One of my little sayings these little sayings you develop that keep you moving, keep
Yes.
you persevering.
Yes.
Better wrong than confused.
That's right. Exactly right. Yeah, that's so true.
If you look
Yeah.
confused, you're going to
Yeah.
lose your support base.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to keep that one, okay?
You know, it's interesting for us because we have a licensed vocational school, and I'll never forget that, you know, we went through all the, you know, the getting licensed and everything else, and we spent a lot of money on our classroom and thousands of dollars, and we were just expecting people to call and to come to class, right? Well, 6 months later, not one person in the class, and we're like, what are we doing? We had this goal, we had this vision, but no one's coming.
Yeah.
And so we met with some friends that had dinner with some friends, and they're very accomplished, very successful, and they're very supportive, but they said, well, maybe this just wasn't the course you were supposed to take. And so John and I went home, we really talked about it for a length of time, and we both agreed that we need to keep doing this. We just felt this is what we need to do. So within, I went in the classroom every day, and I actually taught these classes when there was no one in the class. And within a week, we got our first call, and it filled up our classroom. So, we could have given up,
Yeah.
but you've got to persevere. And one of the things is that happens a lot, just when you're giving up is the moment that your goal is going to become accomplished. So many people give up just before that goal is accomplished.
And one thing that Danelia neglected to say is that we developed the school to help people.
Well, yeah, that's the show is for that reason.
Oh, yeah, and the show as well.
Yes.
And once people saw that we were committed to help them, we had people standing in class. We didn't have enough seats for them.
Yeah.
So we stayed the course.
Sounds like success.
Yeah.
Hey.
And
but we had fun.
Yeah,
as you said.
and that's the key. We really, really enjoy what we do. We love what we do. We also have a management company. We manage businesses and work with doctors. So what do you think causes some people to give up and stop trying? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, as you know, since you know me, I'm a spiritual person. And you not only do you have to believe in yourself, but you have to have support. And if you find yourself in a situation where nothing's moving in the right direction, you're going to have to search for energy from somewhere other than this planet, meaning your spiritual background.
Well done.
And for me, that's been a major part of my life. I mean, there have been so many times I could have easily said, enough of this.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And just like you said, just hanging there another hour, another
Yeah.
day,
Another week.
something happens that you can't explain by anything other than divine intervention.
Thank you.
Because
we're out of time, and so we'll have to wrap it up. Thank you to you, our viewers, and to our listeners. Thanks to our broadcast engineer, Zuri Bender, our floor manager, Saki Slomov, and to Jay Fidel, our executive director, who puts it all together. Thank you also to Dr. Bernard Robinson. We really value your insights today. They were excellent. Thank you so much. And I know everybody really, really enjoyed the show.
My pleasure.
Yes,
Thanks for
thank
having
you.
me.
So Think Tech Keys to Success will be back next Thursday at 11 o'clock. So please tune in, tell your friends about the show. My name's Danelia, Danelia.
And I'm the other half of the duo, John Newman. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha, everyone.